Hey everyone, welcome. I am MisterBo, and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has been revealed at Star Wars Celebration. We have some brand new details about the game, the characters, and some other details as well. And we also, of course, got our reveal trailer. It is all rendered in-game. It's all story stuff. There's no gameplay in here, but we're going to be taking a look at that, breaking down, analyzing a little bit, but we're mainly going to be getting into the details and what you need to know about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So as the trailer runs in the background, let's go over what this game is. So firstly, it is a single player driven game. There is no multiplayer, there is no microtransactions. It's about being a Jedi and using your lightsaber and force powers. Now we already knew this game takes place after Order 66. You are a Padawan who survives, and it is an action melee game. During the Star Wars Celebration panel, they described it as a thoughtful combat game. There's not going to be any button mashing. You're not going to be coming up against a ton of stormtroopers all at once. It's going to be thoughtful. They say the combat is easy to pick up, but it's hard to master. It has a lot of depth. Now, before all this information came out, there was a leak a couple of days ago that basically described the combat in this game as kind of Dark Souls / Sekiro-like, where you're going to be up against an enemy, you're going to be probably blocking, defending, attacking when you can, and everything in that leak has lined up with what was revealed today. So that seems like it's going to be really cool and kind of what I want from a Star Wars Jedi lightsaber fighting game. Now, the main character in this game you play as is Cal Kestis, and he's played by Cameron Monaghan, who, if you're not familiar with, plays Jerome, Jeremiah, and Mr. J, or basically the Joker in Gotham. He's probably the best part of that show, and I think he's going to be a perfect fit for a Jedi in Star Wars. Again, that was leaked out a couple of days ago, but now we have confirmation, and he even came up on the panel and talked a little bit about his character. So who is Cal? Well, obviously we know he's a Padawan. He's hiding in plain sight because obviously he has to hide because of Order 66, and during the game he must learn to master the ways of the Force. Now, at the beginning of the game, he's hiding on a planet called Bracca, and he's basically working with decommissioning ships from the Clone Wars, making sure that the Empire doesn't realize that he's a Jedi. Now, one of the writers to help with the creation of this character was actually one of the writers for the Clone Wars and Rebels, and there's even a lot of ties to sort of Rebels and other extended universe stuff, which we'll get into in just a minute. During the story, he'll also need to face his past and find new allies along the way to help him. He's described as a street-smart Padawan who's got experience, but has also faced tragedy in his past, which I'm sure we'll learn about through playing the game. Now, in the official poster that they revealed a couple of days ago, we saw the main character, but we also saw he was accompanied by a droid. That droid is in fact BD-1, or known internally at Respawn, Buddy Droid 1. Now, he's going to have useful tools including a spotlight as well as other things which I'm assuming you're going to be able to upgrade and get as you progress through the story. The voice of BD-1 was created by Ben Burtt, who, if you don't know, is the creator of basically the original Star Wars soundscape, including the noises from R2-D2, Chewie, and pretty much every iconic sound you know from Star Wars. Now, BD-1 and Cal are going to be pretty much buddies throughout this and are going to have a lot of communication with each other. They say that BD-1 kind of brings light to the story, maybe even bits of humor to add to this pretty much dark story. Now, in the trailer we also see some other characters, one being Sia, who is basically going to be a character that Cal befriends, as well as a group of other people to form maybe some sort of team, but we'll have to wait and learn more about that. Now, moving on to the villains of this game, we have the Inquisitors, or more specifically, we have the Second Sister, who was actually teased in Darth Vader number 19. They knew she was going to be in this game, so they dropped her a little bit into that comic to give people a tease that she was coming back in the future. Now, along with that, they're also introducing a brand new stormtrooper called the Purge Troopers. Now, the Purge Troopers have already been seen before in some of the Marvel comics, but the design of the Purge Troopers was actually created by Respawn. Marvel Comics and Respawn both needed some sort of new stormtrooper basically to help the Inquisitors, to help Darth Vader out, and they decided to work together to create the Purge Troopers. Respawn created the design of it, and then they sort of put that into the Marvel Comics. So you might have already seen these stormtroopers in some other material. Now, the Purge Troopers are basically able to go pretty much toe-to-toe with a Jedi, and we see this in the trailer. We see Cal fighting a Purge Trooper, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, and they look like they're going to be sort of a more challenging enemy. As they state in the panel, a stormtrooper, you're going to hit it once and he's going to die, so they needed something a little bit more challenging in the form of a trooper. Now, the final thing they talked about during the panel was Cal's lightsaber, and the fact that it might not actually be Cal's lightsaber, but they couldn't really talk about that because it would include major spoilers, which we'll learn about when we play the game for ourselves. They did say, however, the lightsaber will be able to grow and evolve, basically meaning you're going to be able to upgrade it as you play the game. You're probably also going to be able to upgrade your force powers as well, similar to something maybe like you'd see in Sekiro. If you've played that recently, you have different prosthetics giving you different abilities that you can equip at different times, and as I mentioned before, that previous leak said the combat would be similar to Dark Souls / Sekiro. It also mentioned that we're going to be seeing parkour, and you can kind of see a hint of that in the trailer, which we'll look at in just a second. Now, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order comes out this year on November 15th, 2019 on Xbox, PS4 and PC, and it seems like this game has got a marketing deal with Xbox. There was a lot of Xbox stuff during the panel, and that kind of makes sense because obviously PlayStation isn't going to be at E3, and they'll probably want to heavily advertise this game at E3, so I would assume the next bit of information we'll get about this game will be during Microsoft's E3 press conference, which I'll be sure to cover. So let's go ahead and quickly take a look at some of the things in this trailer that sort of back up what we've been talking about and maybe give us some teasers at some other stuff. So to begin with, we see Cal probably at the beginning of the game. This is what he's doing. He's hiding out, working on decommissioning ships. This place almost looks as if it could be Coruscant, but I'm assuming this is still that place that they mentioned called Bracca. We see him working on the ships. We see maybe a friend of Cal who actually slips and falls into something that looks pretty much like a Sarlacc pit, and then you can see him sort of reach out and maybe go to use his force powers, but maybe he decides not to, as to not to alert the stormtroopers and let this guy die. But obviously the trailer cuts out at that point. We then see some stormtroopers who are looking just as good as they always do. We then have this nice shot, which basically shows us probably the closest we get to gameplay in this trailer. So we can see the stormtroopers on the left there that we just saw. We can also see some familiar Imperial droids in the form of the same unit that K2SO is in Rogue One. We can see Cal here, who is going to be running here. He's going to jump onto the wall on the right, wall run along, and then kind of force jump up, which goes back to the parkour leak. And we can also see these different things moving in and out of the rock face, which I'm assuming is going to be some sort of like jumping puzzle. You're going to have to get up those without getting pushed off. We then see a cutscene of Cal and the droid BD-1 and a clone trooper on the floor there. Now, I'm not familiar with all the different types of clone troopers. You probably know more than me, but it's a cool image. We then see another shot of Cal on a planet that I don't believe we've seen before. It kind of looks like a deserty planet, but I'm sure it's going to be something new. They did mention there are going to be new planets in this game. We then get a good look at Cal fighting that new Purge Trooper, who's looking really cool and really gives Cal a challenge here. And that goes back to the design philosophy of having thoughtful combat. You're going to have to really think about how you take on your enemy in terms of blocking, defending, hitting them at the right time. I'm assuming you're going to be able to dodge left and right, jump around. And just one enemy like this is probably going to prove quite a challenge for you as a Padawan. You're not going to be able to just strike them down pretty quickly. We get a look at the planet that we see at the beginning. This time it's not all rainy and dark. I'm assuming again this is going to be that planet called Bracca. We then get a look at the Inquisitor, the second sister, who is using force powers here to control the joystick to make the ship sort of fly in a different direction, and even begins to sort of crack the glass. Obviously the Inquisitor here knows that Cal is indeed a Jedi. And then the money shot here of Cal with the lightsaber, whether it's his or not, we'll have to wait and find out. And then he of course ignites it, and there we have the logo for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, coming out on November 15th. And one thing to note is this game is not in the Frostbite engine, it is in Unreal 4, which I think is a big thing. Obviously there's been a lot of problems with different developers using Frostbite, taking a look at Anthem most recently, and I have full trust in Respawn to be able to do the right thing. Just taking a look at what they did with Apex Legends, you know, they said to EA, no, we don't want to do some big old marketing campaign, we just want to release the game out to the people, and well, that proved very successful, so I feel like Respawn kind of is able to do their own thing here, though I guess we'll just have to wait and see. From this trailer, I am very excited. This has gone straight to the top of my most anticipated games for this year. Now, I don't want to speak too soon, but I feel like this could be one of those games that is maybe in the Game of the Year sort of top 5. We'll have to wait and see. I'd love to know what you guys think about Jedi Fallen Order in the comments below. Did the trailer excite you? Does this game sound like the kind of thing you want from a Star Wars game, or was this trailer a little bit underwhelming for you? Were you expecting something else? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions on it. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to click the like button, and if you're new around here, feel free to subscribe for more gaming content and coverage. I'll be sure to update you guys and cover anything we get of Jedi Fallen Order from now until November. And if you do subscribe, also be sure to click that bell icon so you're notified when my future videos go live. But thanks for hanging out with me, and hopefully I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.